Today, we're showing you how to rebuild the independent front suspension on a second-generation Tundra. Then we're getting it ready for larger rolling stock. And finally, showing you a new way to tune it. It's all today, here on Trucks.
Hey guys, welcome to the shop. Well, as we all know, the Toyota Tundra, well, it's a proven platform and it's here to stay. It's kind of hard to believe that this second-gen Tundra, well, it's nearly 7 years old. And like a lot of trucks, this guy uses it to work and to play. And he's had it for a while, wants to do a little bit of freshening up when it comes to style. The problem is it's got 130,000 miles on the clock, and before we do any type of restyling on this vehicle, well, there's a little bit of maintenance to do. The good news is it's stuff that you guys can do at home. Now take a look at the condition of these tires. They're obviously worn out, but we've got uneven tire wear, which is an indicator of worn suspension parts or a bad wheel alignment. Now, anytime you've got a vehicle with 20-inch or 18-inch wheels, you're going to be spending some money on replacing tires. So you might as well get something that looks better and maybe serves a couple of different functions. For instance, this is a four-wheel drive truck, so we can do better with the side lugs, better siping, and a more aggressive lug pattern. Besides the fact that these wheels, I think we could improve on that design as well.
Now, like Kevin said, we're going to be installing some new wheels and tires, larger diameter and heavier wheels and tires, along with a leveling kit. And we want to make sure we add those parts to a front end that's in good shape. So our friends at Raybestos sent us a bunch of stock replacement chassis parts. We've got lower control arms, upper control arms, inner and outer tie rod ends, even replacement sway bar end links just in case. And that way, once we replace all this stuff, well, we know the front suspension on that truck will be good for another 130,000 miles. For you guys that remember, the last time we had a Tundra in the shop doing some front end work, we ran into a little bit of a problem because we didn't have a 12-point metric socket large enough to fit over the axle retaining nut. So we made our own tool and just took a standard box end wrench, cut it open, sprung it open a little bit so it'll barely fit over our nut, welded it to a 1/2-inch drive socket, and, well, it works. I'm glad we kept it.
There it is. It's a bouncing baby axle.
All right, thank you. Now, to separate the ball joint, we used a pickle fork and our air hammer. And to remove the strut, we used a couple of pry bars and 2 guys to get the strut out of the way.
Downward force on it?
Yeah. There we go. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Piece of cake. Now, before we remove these lower control arms, we're going to mark these cam bolts or eccentric bolts for their current location. Now, these are used to adjust the camber and caster on the front end. And we can mark these and put the bolts back where they were when we installed the new control arms. Not so we can call it done at that point, but so we can drive to the alignment shop, not too much weirdness going on. Now, luckily for us, this truck came from south of the Rust Belt, so there's no corrosion on the fasteners, and the owner hasn't beat up on it too bad off-road, so it's not that dirty either, making disassembly pretty straightforward. In fact, we were able to reuse the lion's share of the factory hardware since it was in such good shape. All right, we're gonna leave that loose for now until we get some weight on the vehicle, then we can tighten up these arms. And just like the upper arms, leave these loose until we get the weight on the vehicle. Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Today we're working on a 2007 Toyota Tundra, adding a little bit of lift and freshening up the front suspension so we can run some larger wheels and tires. Now, we don't need a ton of lift because the tires we've got spec'd out are just a little bit taller than stock. So we went to Zone Off-Road and picked up one of their leveling kits. Now, this is just a basic spacer that fits right on top of the factory strut, providing the necessary lift. Now, the kit also includes a couple of new rear shocks that'll better handle the additional weight from the new wheels and tires. Installation is pretty straightforward. Note that the factory strut is marked out, along with the spacer that's supplied. Now to make sure our factory hardware stays put, we're using a little bit of red Loctite on the strut studs. Okay, thank you. And with the strut indexed correctly, you can reinstall it. Now, what makes this a DIY project and something you can do in the garage or driveway is that you don't need a strut compressor or a spring compressor because the strut doesn't have to be disassembled. Now we're just about done with the front suspension work, but we're not done up front because we haven't installed some new front brakes that we picked up from Raybestos. But we wanted to take this chance to show you one of the Raybestos NASCAR brake packages. This is some seriously engineered hardware. Check out these rotors. They're really thick, extremely well ventilated, and they've got an S-groove cut into the friction surface. And they use a really lightweight rotor hat to attach the two. Now the calipers are obviously lightweight and engineered to be as stiff as possible, and they use titanium pistons. But check out these front brake pads. These would probably last the lifetime of your passenger car or truck. And check them out in comparison to a brand new Tundra pad. It's a pretty big difference. Now check out this massive 6-piston front caliper. It doesn't weigh a whole lot, and we want to compare what it weighs to a stock Tundra front caliper. This 4-piston iron caliper weighs just over 16 pounds. The larger Raybestos 6-piston counterpart comes in at about 6. That's a huge difference. But since our truck won't be doing 200 miles an hour on a NASCAR track, we're going to stick with stock replacement parts from Raybestos. They're more than enough to get the job done and slow down this big heavy truck. And some new pads and rotors along with calipers will make sure that this truck doesn't have any braking issues for quite some time. Don't forget to secure your brake lines and the ABS sensor to the strut. Don't forget to plug in the ABS sensor either. You get one of those annoying lights in the dash.
Hey, welcome back. Well, we told you we wanted to do a wheel and tire upgrade on this Tundra, and we looked at the styling of the truck. There's black door handles, black bumpers, black toolbox, so we didn't want to go over the top with a flashy wheel that didn't fit the vibe of the truck. So this is what we come up with from the Cepek catalog. This is a 20 by 9-inch wheel with a black powder-coated spoke, a little bit of accent on the side, but it fits the style of the truck. Now, the tires, that's something a little different. This is a very aggressive looking tread pattern with generous siping and good side lugs, but a tight grouping in the middle, making it great off-road and quiet on the highway. Now these Mickey Thompson Baja ATZs along with the Cepek wheels are perfect for this truck. But before we get ahead of ourselves, we've got to throw some brakes on it first. Raybestos, with their advanced technology brake parts, goes the extra mile with things like a corrosion-resistant coating on the rotors and very high tolerances with both their brake pads and the rotor surfaces themselves. The brake pads come with the shim already pre-installed, making it a snap to do a simple brake job. There's less than 200 thousandths run out on the rotors, which means it's very smooth and you'll experience less vibration and pulsation during use. Now the replacement shocks meet or exceed the OE specs for the shocks that are already on the Toyota, come from the factory. Then being a direct replacement means you can use the original hardware, and that's always a bonus. Now even though these Tundras have a giant wheel opening, we are using a larger wheel and tire. So the leveling kit serves a couple of purposes: leveling the vehicle out, improving the looks, and giving you a couple extra inches of ground clearance.
All right, now with the weight of the vehicle on the front suspension, we can finally tighten down the control arm hardware. If we did it on the lift with the control arm drooping, well, we'd lock the bushing in that position, and with it at normal ride height, we'll be twisting and preloading the bushing, causing premature failure. Now, if you remember, we marked the alignment of our cam bolts. That way, when we get done with all this work, well, we could just put it back to where it was. It's not to avoid the alignment rack, it's just to get us in the ballpark so we can drive to the alignment shop, because these cam bolts offer up quite a range of adjustment. Check it out. So we'll put it back to where it was and lock it down. Now, we've shown you guys a fair amount of front-end alignment tech in the past, but this time we're just trying to get a rough toe measurement, because this thing's going to go to an alignment rack to have the toe, caster, and camber dialed in nearly perfectly. But by measuring the front and the rear of the tire, we can get an idea of where the toe is and how far off we are. We're way toed in. And once you know where you're starting, you can just make adjustments to the tie rod ends to try to even out that measurement. What you're after is zero toe or a slight toe in. That'll get you to the alignment shop. And 79 3/4, 79 5/8. So we got an 1/8 inch toe out. Bring it in just a little bit, and we should be good. Now we're measuring on the tire tread, which isn't going to give us a very accurate reading, but it'll be more than good enough for a short drive. 11/16, 79 11/16.
All right.
Perfect, right on the money.
Just in case you didn't remember, we took a shot of the profile of the truck, which is unmistakable, and you can see the stink bug stance, the lowered front end. And thanks to Zone Offroad, Dick Cepek, and Mickey Thompson, well, the stance and overall appearance of this truck is greatly improved.
Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Now, when you buy a new vehicle, you don't have to settle for stock performance, thanks to programmable tuners with dial-in power.
But you guys with a Toyota, well, you were out of luck. That is, until now.
Engineers at Bully Dog did what many thought was impossible. Finally tap into Toyota factory codes for better performance and fuel economy.
The Toyota community is screaming for a tuner. You see it on the forums, on the websites, everywhere, and they're going to be extremely excited to have this product available to them.
No more excited than this guy. TC Dieter's Tacoma V6 sports a TRD supercharger, and he loaned his truck for this first ever field test.
A lot of people that see a Toyota Tacoma like that and they just think, oh, it's just a little Toyota, but supercharger peps her up a little bit.
And Bully Dog engineers will pep it up even more by tuning here at Bully Dog Days and later at their facility.
Let's go, Bully Dog.
The time investment for the Toyota project is huge. 5 years of countless hours of engineer time, top engineers working on this project, and it's paid off in the long run.
The reason Toyota has been hard to program lies within their factory control modules. These ECMs are driven by totally different forms of encryption and mathematical algorithms. For instance, if the big three were piggy banks, well, Toyota is Fort Knox, making it extremely difficult to break into.
Once back at Bully Dog, horsepower numbers for this supercharged 4.0 went from a 268 baseline to 294 with the tune. That's a 26 horsepower gain.
Once we had that breakthrough, we have had so much excitement around there between the engineers and the guys tuning it, watching the horsepower go up day and day. I mean, you're talking 1 horsepower increments as we learn. One more, and then we get 1 more horsepower and 1 more. But that's how you get there. But it builds into an awesome product.
It is awesome that somebody has finally found a way into these Toyota vehicle systems. And Bully Dog has developed tuners for Tacoma, FJ, Land Cruiser, Sequoia. Basically, if you've got a late model Toyota pickup or SUV, Bully Dog has a tuner for it. And not only can you get inside a lot of the vehicle systems and customize and personalize your vehicle, now you can also get into the drivetrain parameters and instantly unlock at least 10 horsepower from an already potent 5.7 V8. The GT for Toyota comes with what you see here, the OBD2 interface and plug-in, the GT itself, a connection cable, a cable that you're going to need for updates, and a standard windshield mount. Let's check it out. With the key off, connect the GT to the OBD2 port, connect the data cable, and establish a key-on power source. Now, on late model trucks, a really good way to run the cable is up behind the weather seal in the pinch weld and behind the dash. This makes for a clean installation with no cutting or drilling. Once the connection's established, you can choose the year, make, and model of the vehicle you're connecting to. From there, you can select options for up to 3 different dedicated tunes, depending on what you want to do with your vehicle. For instance, a premium tune, a towing tune, or just a regular tune for normal daily driving.
Now, once the GT extracts the information from the truck, well, the update agent will build a personalized file for you, and you'll be good to go. Now, for you guys lucky enough to have a TRD supercharger installed, well, Bully Dog even has an improved calibration so you can extract even more power from your blown Toyota. Now, in addition to that, well, you can control many other features on the truck, so you can personalize it to your liking. Things like the alarm chirp or the lights flashing, how long the headlights stay on after you shut the truck off, the power windows and the sunroof. You can even defeat that annoying seatbelt warning. And lastly, if you've got kids that are going to be driving your truck, you can take advantage of the top speed limiter. Limit the overall speed of the vehicle so you can slow the kids down and keep everybody safe.
The GT also has data logging capability as well as the driving coach. So on top of increased performance, you can also extract even more fuel economy out of your vehicle. Bully Dog is constantly improving features and tuning capabilities for these trucks. So as new updates become available, just go online to the update agent, download them, simple as that. This thing is making some power.
And it's nice to know you can turn the traction control off and have a little fun with a pickup truck still.
Yep.
That was cool. Now, you guys probably know of Raybestos for their brake parts, but they also offer a complete line of original equipment replacement, suspension, and chassis parts, like these upper and lower control arms. Now, these parts are designed to exceed the OE parts in fit, form, and function. Now, they've got a protective coating to resist corrosion, and their low-friction ball joints have a permanently attached polyurethane boot to prevent premature failure. So the next time you need replacement chassis parts for your truck, check out Raybestos.